All right, so my name is Mr. Gillespie. I'm one of the counselors here. We decided to come into all the credit recovery classes to give you some information about what does senior year look like going from right now to the end of graduation, right? So we reflected last year on what would be like the best thing to help students not really scramble and, how do I word this? Like, for example, we had a student last year who was working until the last 30 minutes of deadline, and graduation was the next day, and we didn't know if that student was going to graduate in credit recovery, right? So we decided, let's be proactive and work on a strategy to maybe help you all going forward from right now. What do you need to do or know or try to accomplish so we don't have the same mistakes with other students that we did last year? Yeah. So I got a great image here. This is what I kind of work on seniors when I talk about senior meetings. I talk to seniors about this. Think of senior graduation as this arrow right around the curb. The curb itself right here is the roadblock. You got to get past the curb, you got to get around it, and you're in the last 100 meters. It's like a track, right? If you've ever watched Olympics, you're running, and that last 100 meters, that's the finish line. But this curve is hypothetical. It could be credit recovery. It could be, your current classes. It could be, outside influences. So you kind of want to create an end goal, short-term and long-term right now, to get past that and get to graduation. And part of that could be by finishing your classes here. It's one less step or task you have to do to accomplish. So the counselors and the assistant principals worked on a plan together. So you all are informed. And this is kind of like the task that you have to accomplish. And I guess it's in order, but it's kind of not in order, if that makes sense. So let me do something here. First thing that you will all have coming up is senior meetings. You have 2 a year. Very simple. You'll have time to sit down with your counselor one-on-one, face-to-face, and you're going over your transcripts. You're going over the attendance, and we pull information from the assistant principals about discipline, all these different things that you need to do or get resolved to graduate on time. Now, if you're a junior in this class, some of this applies to you, but it's just good knowledge to have in general. It's mostly for seniors because we're kind of scrambling to catch you all up to speed. But if you're a junior, there's a reason why, right? We're trying to get juniors caught up to speed so they don't have to be in the same situation as maybe you are in you're on grade level next year. So both of this can kind of be helpful for both parties, just so you know. During senior meetings, we'll also show you your transcript. It's kind of like a receipt. When you go to the store, you get a receipt, right? It shows you all the classes. It shows you maybe what you did not pass, what you owe in credit recovery. Because when you are in credit recovery, right, you have 2 classes, but that might not necessarily be everything you owe. We only show you 2 because if we showed everything, students would get overwhelmed and they would just kind of give up. Because some kids owe like 8, 9, right? So we'll kind of show you that plan as well, and then we have like long-term goals for each student. So that's going to be starting the 18th. If you're not in class, you don't get that opportunity, and then we just kind of move on, and we get back with you maybe in October. So it's very vital that you're in class during this week of the 18th so you get that time with that counselor. Because we have every counselor, every administrator, they all have huge caseloads. So we try to give you the time, but if you're not where you're supposed to be, it's not going to work. Now, we can't control like if you're sick or stuff like that, but if you are just skipping, that's not a valid reason. Grades. Ultimately, you all want to get to 26 credits. It seems like this crazy number. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but it's very simple. And most of you are very close. And if you complete the classes at Ingenuity, you probably will get there this year. And it's simple. It's 4 Englishes, 4 maths, 4 sciences, 4 social studies. 4 times 4 is what? 16. You're already at 16. Then you add your 2 years of a language, that's 18. You add your PE if you did it, or a sport, that's 19. You do an art, that's 20. So most of you are already at 20 at least. And then your other 6 classes are electives. Those are fun classes. That's the end goal, is 26 credits. Now, some of you might not really be at 20 or 18 credits right now because you have to recover it. And that's what this class is for. It's a very useful class. Edgenuity is a great tool if you are consistently working on it. If you didn't know, every time you complete a class, we get notified, and then you get half a credit back. So if you were at 17 credits and you did 2 classes, now you went from a junior, now you're a senior in terms of classification, right? So it's just, as long as you work slowly but surely in this class, you will make great progress, and before you know it, you're out of here and you're on grade level with everyone else. Some other things to keep in mind. You have to pass the classes you're currently in too, right? Government, you need to pass. It's required for graduation. Economics, English 4. So your current classes right now, you have to pass on top of credit recovery. That's why it's so vital, and that's why we wanted to kind of get out here and help you kind of answer any questions and clear up any misconceptions. You also need to pass your EOCs. There's 5 of them. English 1, 2, Algebra, Biology, and U.S. History. If you don't pass those 5, we can't have you walk the stage. You have to come in during summer school. It's a big, huge ordeal that could easily be avoided. So you get 2 chances this year. December and then in May or April.
I think it's April now.
It's April. And so some of you are in extra support with that with Ms. Hernandez. It's called the class called Academic Support. That's a reason, right? There's a reason for everything we're doing. We're not just doing it because we don't like you. No, we're doing it to get you ready to walk the stage. So the counselors are never really truly the bad guys, even though we make your schedule. There's kind of like underlying hidden routes or tunnels going on that we think of that you might not necessarily think of, and that's why we wanted to explain sort of the whole view today. You also have to complete the FAFSA. It's a very simple idea. Think of it like your taxes when you all start working, or if you already have. You have to kind of fill out like this financial history for these colleges that you might be going to. Even if you don't go to a university or community college, you still have to do it for the state of Texas. It's a legal requirement. So keep that in mind. If you haven't already started on FAFSA, you can get started by doing something very simple. It's creating a profile. When you all made TikToks, right? You all probably have a TikTok. You had to create a profile. That's one step you can do with FAFSA. You can start that today. But then we'll have FAFSA nights that your family can come to with you, that we can help you complete it and get it out of the way. And then you actually, the sooner you apply, the more chance you have money given back to you in terms of scholarships, financial aid, different things like that. So it's not something you want to wait on. There's 2 dates coming up for FAFSA. You can write this down or put it in your phone just to be aware of. October 3rd, it's a Thursday, from 4:30 to 6:30. October 3rd, Thursday, 4:30 to 6:30. I'll probably have to add that here. That's one night. And then November 20th, it's a Wednesday, it's 4:30 to 6:32. So I'm going to write, can I write here? Is that okay, Ms. Shannon?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a plethora. Whichever one you want to use.
The first one, October 3rd, 4:30 to 6:30. And then November 20th. That way you know you can bring your family, get it done easy. And then the last part about Texas College Bridge, we're still working that out, but for sure you have to be considered post-secondary readiness. And that encompasses 1 or 2 or 3 different paths, depending on your future. The first one could be passing the SAT. That's the standardized test that every student takes. The ACT or the TSI. If you haven't taken the TSI, it's a very useful tool. Think of it like a Texas version of the SAT. And if you haven't, you can take it in the Go Center. The first one is usually free. It's 4 hours roughly. It's all online. You get pulled out of class. It's not like you have to come in on an extra day or whatever. So that's something to think about, because the TSI can help you get scholarships if you score high enough. It can eliminate like extra remedial coursework. So it's very, and the remedial is like if you go to San Antonio College or you go to UT, if your like SAT scores are not high enough for math or English, you have to take like extra classes and pay for extra classes to kind of get you back to that level. And if you score high enough on that TSI test in the Go Center, they're like, oh, okay, we can use that as your baseline, and then you just start regular classes. Any questions on this part?
Now's the time, guys. Don't be shy. If you have a counselor in front of you, a lot of times students have questions that only a counselor can answer. This is it. Let's put cell phones away. We should not have cell phones out. Put it away.
Okay. Now, when we talk about FAFSA, right now I did the data, and with our assistant principals in CCMR, we have 281 students that haven't even created a profile or haven't completed it from last year, whatever. That's an easy number to get rid of. So if you didn't go during prep days, it was like a little table that you were creating your FAFSA accounts, just a profile. You can start doing that tonight with your family. But it's just like a simple number that we could easily get to 0. And if you need help with getting started with the FAFSA, the Go Center is a great resource. It's right next to the library if you've never been. Now, attendance recovery. Ooh, okay. These are from last year, and then this is going to be current. Okay, think of it like an invisible line right here. Last year, we had about 300, almost 300 seniors owe hours. And when we talk about owing hours, I don't think a lot of people realize what that means. Owing an hour is basically you were late to class for more than 10 minutes, or you were skipping, or you were truant, or you were at home and you didn't bring a note in and you got counted absent that entire day, right? So that's what owing hours means. And if you owe too many hours, you lose credit for the class. So you could pass English 4 with 100, and it wouldn't matter because it's a state law. You miss 9 or more days. So that's kind of maybe why a lot of you are in this situation in the first place. I'm going to show you something. Just as an example, it's kind of hard to see. I'll put the lights back on in a second. Lights down low in a second. Where is it? Okay. This is what assistant principals use. This is what counselors use. It's called a transcript. And you'll see a class right here, right? It says 0.5 if you can't see it. But then it says 0 for the spring semester. And the reason for it is there's like a little dot next to it. And if you see under your transcript, you can all get a copy of this when you have your senior meetings. But you'll see under there it says credit denied due to absences. So this student really should have 1 full year of, this is a PE, but only has 0.5 because they missed too many days. Or they got marked absent, whatever it may be. So it's something that can easily be avoided. We had seniors last year who tried to do their best. They went to attendance recovery, and I'll explain that in a second. But we still have, from last year's senior list, that are like rolling over, we still had almost 100 seniors owe hours. And right now, there's about 750 seniors. We have 285 seniors that owe some type of hour, that have missed some type of class, and they could lose credit for, which then you can't graduate, right? And a lot of students don't know this, but the state of Texas allows you up 10 days. You can turn in 10 days worth of notes. And it's a simple thing that can easily be avoided. What does a note look like? Well, it's like, Sergio was out of school yesterday due to a family emergency, signed by your family member. Turn it in. That's 1 day erase. What happens is, and this is, we sat down with every principal and assistant principal. What happens is students don't turn them in until the end, and it's too late, right? Or they don't turn them in at all. They're stuck in their backpack. It just could easily be avoided, and then you wouldn't have to be recovering classes. So you can turn up to 10 student notes, and all it has to say is your full name, the day, the reason, and signed by a family member. Turn it into attendance. Now, you can find out how many days you owe right now by using a sender. Anyone not have it on their phone? A sender? 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to be shocked. I'm not going to tell you. 5,
You're not in trouble.
6.
You don't have it.
So that's crazy. 6 seniors. I mean, you shouldn't be knowing your grades and your attendance. So what I'm going to suggest you do is, we booked this whole time. When we're done with the presentation, you come up here, we'll get you a portal ID. The portal ID is like your password to log in to view your grades, attendance, your star scores, everything related. And then that's how you can start to track for the senior year. Because what you don't want to have happen is wait until you're in spring break and you find out I owe 182 days, right? So if you need a portal ID, when we're done with the presentation, come over, Ms. Chandler and I can help you set that up. And then you download the Sender app, and then you log in, and you can start seeing everything related to your schoolwork. So there's ways to recover classes. Here's an example, because the new one hasn't come out yet for this year, but here's an example. From spring 2024, we had Saturday dates. They were from 9 to 1 in the main campus cafeteria. You came in, you got 4 hours that were added back to what you already owed. You were able to do homework. You were able to work on credit recovery there, whatever it may be. But that's an opportunity. And you see, there was 8 total, so 8 times 4, what is that? 32, right? Yeah. 32 hours that you got back. You could also have done it during Tuesday and Thursday. We had way more of those because they're only 2 hours each, but they were in John Glenn. So, like, we had students, like, if they were in football practice, like, they just asked their coach, hey, I'm going to go, to this one on Tuesday. The coaches or cross country, they were, more than welcoming to allow that because, your academics come first, and then you would start to get hours that way. How else can you get hours back? Well, you can take tutoring hours. If you need to retake an Algebra 2 test, and you go in during your lunch, like you can't be during your regular school, like can't be during Algebra 2, but you go in like during your lunch or before school or after school, and you do it for an hour, and you have your your teacher sign, was taking a test for 1 hour, turn it in. That's another way to get hours back. You can stop by the assistant principal's office and get a tutoring log. And it doesn't even have to be in the class that you might not be passing in. If you don't like government but you love art, go to art, start getting hours. Have your teacher sign off on it and turn that in. But that's another way to recover hours as you go, throughout the school year. And then you can volunteer. You have to have a volunteer hour form, and it needs an adult signature and a phone number from that organization, church, whatever it may be. And that's how you would get hours that way. But we do call and verify. Something else to consider, this is like long term, but if you're in a situation where you need hours, like if you're out sick and you don't have a doctor's note, whatever it may be, there's senior waiver days. And this is actually a positive for you all too to know about. Senior waiver days, I don't know if they'll do it this year, but last year it was 2 days near that last week of school. And it was like, if you were passing all your classes and you passed all your star scores, you were free to not come those 2 days. But if you owed hours, you had the opportunity basically to get, for every day you came, you would get 1 day. So it's a win-win for those that don't owe hours, which we hope you all do, because you get to stay home or do whatever for 2 whole days. But it's also a way to recover hours in case you do owe hours that way. So besides the sender, if you need to know where you stand in terms of credit recovery or attendance, there's a couple ways you can do that, but email is always going to be the best. Think about it. If all 750 seniors came and rushed to the accounting office, there would be no way. We'd be there forever. But emails are easier to simply reply from the counselor and kind of get an answer. So keep that in mind. If you don't know like your school email, you're going to need to figure that out because there's going to be a lot of stuff pushed through your email as a senior, as a junior even, because you have SATs, you have a bunch of different things. So log in, start checking that regularly, and then email, like, for example, if you want to know if you owe hours, you email your assistant principal. If you want to know if you owe or how many credits you email your counselor. If you don't know, you'll go to each. They're all in the main campus. There's names there, and you can just type that in Google. But your teachers can help you look that up as well. So attendance. Excessive attendance or absences can lead to denial from TA. It's not AP, yelling at you, I got you. It's not a counselor. It's from the state. Like, we have almost like our hands tied. We have no room to do anything about it. So the sooner you kind of get that fixed, the sooner we don't have to worry about your classes if you do owe If you already know, you owe hours. So what are the benefits of being a senior, right? Because it's like your last year, your last hurrah. So this was last year. I don't know what the trip is going to be this year, but if you do everything that I'm telling you to do right now, and you take care of everything in ingenuity, and you're not late to class, and you're not getting in fights and whatever, you get nice things happen. So last year there was a senior trip. It was a Friday. They loaded up the buses here. Everyone brought their gear, and they went to SeaWorld and Aquatica, right? It was like $10. It was super inexpensive. That's one kind of positive for doing everything you need to do. They had food. It was a great time, and all the seniors, went there. There was also what we call is it just senior walk, or is there a term?
No, we just call it senior walk.
So there's another awesome opportunity that only this school does. It's senior walk, right? And you go to your old elementary school, and you put on your gown that you're going to earn in getting to graduation, and you go to walk the hallways of the school, the elementary school you came from. Now, if you didn't grow up in the East Central pathway, it's not a big deal. You just kind of don't do it, but if it does, if you went to Salado or you went to Pecan Valley and you graduate, you can come back and do this opportunity. So what it is, right? You dress up in your gown. So this is John Glenn. It just depends on what elementary school you came from, but you go back to your elementary school. And so this is kind of the cool picture, but this is the whole class that's still left from that kindergarten group, right? And they got up, they got dressed, and they took that picture, because there's a picture like this when they were kindergartners. So it's almost if it's a fast forward, right? 18 years later, what happened? Then you also get to walk the halls from your elementary school. So all the kids, first, second, they all cheer you on. You're dressed up, you're cheering them on. So it's a win-win. These students right here look up to you and see that you did it, right? And you are looking down to them, trying to motivate them. Because that's kind of the whole, circle of life, right? When you all get older, you'll have, children, and you will want the best from them. So you want the best from these students, and they look up to you, and they want you to succeed.
Even if you didn't go to East Central for elementary school, you can still sign up.
Yeah.
You can choose.
That's a good point.
We don't cut you off. You're still welcome to go. You still get to experience it. It's not the elementary school you went to, but it's still a fun experience.
Yeah, so if you have friends that you're going and you want to tag along, that is totally fine. So yeah, you go, they take pictures, they get all hyped, they're dancing. It's pretty cool. And then last goal is, ultimately is graduation, right? So to get there, you have to take care of the small things now before they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's almost like you can't carry it. So that's why we give you this presentation. So I always kind of throw this question out there. I forgot to do it last year, but what's your excuse for not being or doing your best, right? So when you woke up today, you have choices in life. One is to, I'm going to get 2 modules or 2 units done in credit recovery because I'm motivated. But if you don't have that mindset, it's going to be a hard year. I'm not going to lie to you. So how can you, be the best every day? Even if I'm not saying write 20-page paper, but if you are making small improvements every day, you will get to that end goal of graduation, and you get out of this class and recover. Yeah, I guarantee. But if you just sit every day and just put your head down, or you're not working on being better, I can't graduate you. So we have steps in place. The assistant principals have steps in place to help prevent certain things, but we can't do it all. So that's why we're here to give you guidance, but we're not going to sit there and hold your hand through it all, because some of you are 18, some of you are about to be 18, you're going to be adults soon. So this is kind of like our lesson to you, and then you take it as you will. If you want to do the bare minimum, I mean, that's your choice, but we hope that you all, as students, try to be better than last year or whatever it may be. So now, that was a lot of information for that part. What questions do you have from either counseling or the assistant principals? Because the assistant principals talked to me, and then I was here as their representative too. What questions do we have overall? Because I don't want to get emails tomorrow. How many were, this is the time to ask these questions now. Don't be scared because it's quiet either.
Last class period, somebody asked the question, how many credits do you need to be considered a senior? Because a lot of you obviously are missing credits. So like if you look at a sender, it has you as a junior. So like how many credits do you need to be considered a senior? So
who knows?
Does anybody know?
Why didn't no one ask that question if you don't know? So, like, to get from freshman to sophomore, how many credits do you need? Does anyone know? Well, that's from sophomore to junior. So if it's 12 from sophomore to junior, to get from freshman to sophomore, you need at least 6. So it goes by 6, really. Hopefully you get 7 a year. So if you have like 15 credits right now, it's crisis mode. We're in trouble. We're trying to get you to 26, but that means you have to pass all your classes and recover. So we can't let you be a senior until you have at least 18 credits. If you don't know how many credits you have, next week during senior meetings you'll find out, and it will be a shock. So that's why we're trying to be preventive right now and come in and teach you about these things. What other questions? It can be simple questions too. It don't have to be like anything crazy.
Nothing? No questions about credits, about graduation? Do you know when the Go Center's open? They're normally open
before school, during the lunch, and then email. They'll call you out. So the easiest way would be to, if you pull up your Google email, right, and you type in Go Center, and I'll put it here in a second. They'll call you out of class, because it's kind of like it'll be like a scheduled meeting, right? And you should want that because then you have time. There's no interruptions. But if you want to just stop by and quick question, that would be before school, during your lunch. That's a good opportunity.
Or if you're passing it.
Oh yeah, passing period.
Like passing period.
Hey, I want to take the TSI. That's a quick little conversation. Oh, another thing I didn't think about. If you're interested in the military, the Go Center, you can sign up for the ASVAB. It's like a test you have to take to be, it's basically like.
It's their version of the TSI.
Yeah, it's the military version, and then it helps place you in what field, or if you're like really good in chemistry, and you take the ASVAB, they're going to see that, So that's another option. It's free to take, and it'll help you kind of get placed if you're interested in the military. What other questions now? We have 2. We got to beat 2 because last year it was 2.
Last year it was 2 questions.
Yeah.
So how many targets do you have to get to consider absent? How many targets?
Is that a 3 and is that a misconception? It's from what I heard, like the tardies, if you're under 10 minutes, like it won't technically be marked absent, but they start to add up.
Yeah, they add up. I forget how many. I would say talk to Mr. Taylor on how many the total is with tardies. Just try to get some off. Yeah, I mean, you don't have a problem with me. I mean, you get your own time every day, so. But the tardies will add up, so that can get you in trouble. And just remember, if you're more than 5 minutes late to class, that's an absence.